This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. And as viewers of this channel, I'm sure are already well aware, children are being dumbed down at an incredible rate these days. In fact, it's not just children. People of all ages are being dumbed down. And this is happening through a number of different avenues, whether it be through the shoddy education system or through the flicker rates that are coming through the TV that mess with your delta and theta brainwaves, or perhaps something a little more serious, something I call the chemical bombardment of society, whether it's through the air that we're breathing or the food that we're eating or the beverages that we drink. Well, thankfully, there are people out there and companies out there that are pushing back against this agenda, like Koios Beverage Corp. KoiosBeverageCorp.com is the website. And joining me on the line today is the CEO and founder of Koios Beverage, Chris Miller. Chris, thank you so much for joining us here today to talk about this awesome product that you have. I obviously want to get into what it is that's in it that works towards improving brain function. But before we get into that, maybe you can just touch a little bit on yourself personally. I mean, why did you want to get involved in this kind of health and wellness sector, in specifically creating a product that helps improve brain function?
Yeah, Koios started because I had hit rock bottom mentally and physically. Due to my own mental illnesses, I had started to self-medicate, much like everyone else does, and I hit rock bottom. And so that rock bottom came as a result of, my whole life I've struggled with being on the spectrum of autism, ADHD, obviously undiagnosed. I grew up a football and rugby player, so it was always probably, it was tough even now for people to admit that they may have issues. As I got in the working world, I realized my muscle and brawn had nothing to do with how well I could achieve or what I could achieve in the workplace. I realized muscles didn't have anything to do with my mental output or capacity either. The reality is we don't live in an industrial age anymore. So, picking up hay bales or smashing iron into a railroad, it isn't really an option for most people today. We live in a very analytical age. I always tell people in these interviews that we haven't caught up yet biologically to deal with the information overload, which is why I feel, one of our epidemics in this country right now is mental health. People feel frazzled and anxious. We have insomnia. We feel alone more than ever, even though we're technically more connected. And it's because we tend to isolate ourselves. And so, my story was I got prescribed Adderall, which is a molecule away from being a methamphetamine. And frankly, I started to abuse it. I was taking too much of it. I had to take sleeping pills to go to bed at night. It ruined my hormonal function, my testosterone levels, the way that I ate. And so I'd really hit rock bottom, and I was just tired. And so I started looking for natural alternatives. Is there a way that I can repair? Because you said something in the intro that's neat. If you're not eating, and this is impossible what I'm about to say. This is from Dr. Hyman, who wrote The Broken Brain. If you look him up online, you should all follow him. But he said once in a book, he said, unless you're eating in a pure soil contaminant-free environment, your oxygen is pure, you deal with zero blue light, you have no stress, then your diet's probably sucks, frankly, and there's a function in your body that's off. Now, if you're listening and you think, no way, I'm healthy, I bet you there's something off, either insomnia or skin disorder, or you get eczema when you get nervous, or something is wrong, and it's usually due to diet. And so we're all dealing with something. And so I started looking for a way to mimic this what Adderall could do, which was help me focus. But could we do it in a way that would not only give you short-term focus and memory recall and cognition and help you be better, faster, stronger mentally, but also give you long-term benefit, right? Adderall and a lot of the stimulants most Americans take are bad in the sense that, it's sort of like using too much NOS in a car. So for those of you who are car people, if you were to drag race and hit the turbo or NOS button, if you did that everywhere you drove, like to the grocery store, your engine would eventually blow up and you'd have to rebuild it. And I feel like a lot of Americans are headed that way with how we overstimulate, from too much caffeine to too much energy drinks to too many stimulants. And I almost think we're at the precipice of the next epidemic in this country, which is people taking too many stimulants, too many Adderall, just being generally unhealthy. And again, I get it. We live in a time where there's just so much data coming at you that I understand why people do it. I understand why people do it to keep up. So yeah, then we spent 2 years working on a solution. I worked with a team of people from doctors to scientists, biologists, to come up with a supplement that would replicate the focus effects of Adderall without the downside. And we were able to accomplish that back in 2014. And we went to market very quickly and realized that the rest of the world was looking for it too. How do I step my game up without destroying my body? And then very quickly we put out a beverage, and the rest is sort of history.
Well, the fact that you did this with all natural organic ingredients is really impressive because, as you say, I think in today's day and age, people are starting to recognize that this is happening to them, whether it be through the chemical bombardment or through too much screen time or whatever it is. They realize that there is an issue here. And a lot of people are starting to make the proper changes in order to get a little bit more healthy in life. So what would you say are some of the key areas in regards to proper living that are really driving consumer demand today?
Yeah, so it's kind of a two-parter, but so you're asking what are people doing to live healthier and how's that driving demand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are doing a lot of things now, right? Meditation is back. I think cycles always happen like that. It was cool in the 60s. It's cool again now. If you don't meditate, you should. I do. But you see people really concerned now about sleep and, work hours and too much phone use. And I think the consumer's really smart now too. There's so much data to suggest that the food we eat is fairly bad. Not only packaged food, but even the food that we think is organic. And, for instance, let's say you went vegetarian. If you haven't been tested, you may not know that you have celiac or, a response to broccoli, even though you think it's great for you, it may not be. So people are supplementing, people are eating healthier, but then they're supplementing their diets with things like kombuchas, things like Koios, things like fit soda, so they can stay hydrated, healthy. So that I think even headed into what we may see as maybe not a recession, but a correction in the market. I think stocks you want to own are stocks that always do well even during tough times. And so you look at like makeup companies, you look at health and wellness companies. Monster and Red Bull took off during the last 2008 recession. Because people will always reach for those things that make them better, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, the industry's here to stay. Obviously, people want to live longer, healthier, better, be smarter, faster, stronger, and it's an exploding industry. Food by itself is a $15 trillion plus industry. Functional beverage is huge and continues to grow, and we have two very white space products that we think can take advantage of some huge trends. On top of the fact that not only are Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Snapple, but all the big beer makers now too are trying to snap up as many beverage brands as they can. Now, I'm not saying I can't say we'll get bought, but that is the goal. And, there's never been a better time to be in the position we're in terms of acquisition or partnering with a very large beverage maker. Because, look at beer sales. Beer sales have been crushed. And every beer maker's trying to scramble to figure out how do we make better for you options, again, because the consumer is very aware and that trend's going to stay.
Well, let's talk a little bit about those better options, the product itself, because as you mentioned, these big companies are interested. You are already in Walmart and GNC stores all over the place. And these companies actually approached you to get involved in your business. So that says a lot about the product. Maybe we can get into the specifics about the beverage itself. Tell us a little bit about the product and the different flavors and how that works.
Yeah, so we have several SKUs now, but the beverage itself, and to your listeners, I always tell people getting involved in Koios now to me is like being a part of kombucha when it first came out, right? Imagine if you could have invested in kombucha when it was before everyone knew what it was, and now it's kombucha's everywhere. And I feel sorry for the guy who invented it, right? Can you imagine walking around selling a thing that doesn't give you an immediate benefit, doesn't taste very good, it's got floaties in it, and now it's everywhere. If that's any indication of how much the distance people are willing to go to be healthy, I don't know what is. And that guy's now a billionaire, the guy who owns GTs. But our flagship product, the one that Walmarts and GNCs carry, Koios, is designed, it's almost like a kombucha for your brain. It's designed to give your brain everything it needs to thrive. So we're the only beverage in the world that uses lion's mane mushroom. We put healthy fats in there with MCTs. We use amino acids like L-theanine and L-tyrosine, coupled with green tea that give you sort of a very clean focus. We only use 60 milligrams of caffeine, so it's less than a Diet Coke. So all the benefit you're getting from this product is not from stimulants. It's from the other things that we've worked very hard on developing to get into this product. Then on top of that, Koios doesn't negotiate on flavor. So when we rebranded in 2017, we made the decision to say, hey, we want to make something that's like kombucha that can give you immediate and long-term benefit, but we're not going to sacrifice on flavor. So drinking a Koios is usually a pretty religious experience for most people because they expect it to not taste good, but it tastes awesome.
Yeah, I recall you saying that when I looked into the product a little bit. You were saying it's not something that should taste good because it's so damn healthy for you, but yet it does.
Right. It should taste awful. Yeah. And then, impressed, what beta and theta are. We did a test with one of our partners, Neuroperformance here in Denver, to test Koios products. And it does in fact show brain scans. We have them on our website that taking the powders, the drinks definitely enhance the parts of the brain that deal with focus, memory, recall, et cetera, et cetera. And then our Fit Soda product was really a funner way to hydrate. Fit Soda was, how do we create a very healthy product that tastes like a soda that gives you BCAAs and electrolytes and some vitamins to help you recover? So we're really excited about Fit Soda as well.
Well, are you looking to maybe get into franchises like possibly Whole Foods and those types of markets, for example? Or are you looking to launch new products now that you have brand recognition?
Yeah, both. We've been working with Whole Foods for a while about rolling, out. And so we hope to execute on that in 2020. It's an ongoing conversation, but yeah, our continued goal with the beverage is to get into as many of the right coolers as we can, from C-store, convenience stores to natural grocers to folks like Whole Foods, H-E-B, CVS, Walgreens. I would say we have to do a better job of building our internal team and making sure that we can support those stores. But which is part of the goal in 2020. But additionally, we have a very robust direct-to-consumer model as well. And so we do anticipate rolling out more products this year, like an enhanced coffee and some other items, a beauty line that would be direct-to-consumer that we're also very excited about, right? It also helps us mitigate or hedge some of our risk with retailers. Working with retailers isn't always the easiest. It can take some time. And so, we plan on doing both.
Well, how challenging would you say it is right now for a small business to get into such a competitive industry? Because, I mean, to be honest, I think a product like this may even disrupt, Big Pharma. These are the kind of people who are going to be upset with a product like this and may want to, shut you down. So how difficult is it competing with these big guys for a small company like yours to get involved?
Yeah, it's really difficult. And that is one of the risks people take. It is very difficult. You're dealing with an establishment and other big brands and people who don't want to lose shelf space. And so I think how we've competed and what makes us unique is we've built a large digital audience that continues to grow. We cater to that audience every day. We communicate with that audience every day. If you're not following us on Instagram, you should be. You can see a lot of what's happening there, but the reason Walmart and GNC reached out to us is because we created demand in the marketplace. We were so good at creating it digitally that it forced retailers' hands, right? So like when the people speak, things happen. And so we'll continue to stay competitive that way. Again, we're building out our internal sales team and our DSD system and our broker system to be able to keep troops on the ground in each location we're in. But yeah, it's always an issue. And so I think to the listeners too, to realize that these guys, all these retailers have reached out to us is a huge indication of not only where the market's going, but the white space that Koios fills, and the great job we've done on the other side of building demand.
Well, as I understand it, as a company, you have a $10 million market cap and a projected revenue of $4 million in 2020. You nearly have about $2 million in cash with zero debt, but yet the stock right now is really at an all-time low. So what would you say are some of the major catalysts moving forward that you would like to see in order to plan for this to become more profitable quickly?
Yeah, we'd like to see increase momentum with Walmarts and GNCs, which we're working on that now. The one thing I would tell folks is that, generally when you get into a big retailer, it can take 6 months before you really figure each other out. It's no different than if you find a new girlfriend or boyfriend. It can take 6 months to smooth stuff out, right? And so understanding their display cycles, their giveaway cycles. So we think we've hit a good groove with both, and now the goal is to expand within each of those retailers. We still have a lot of room to grow in Walmart and GNC. And now that we've got, the good news to all your listeners too is they haven't, if we would have been doing a bad job, they would have let us go already, which they haven't. And so the goal is to grow within those channels as hard as we can, since we already have those relationships. Big milestones this year too would be anchoring Whole Foods, H-E-B, another big natural grocer, which we're working diligently on, and to continue to grow in that channel. And then, like I said, since September, we've done about 100,000 on our new portal online, direct to consumer. We'd like to see that number eclipse 2 million this year. Obviously, the margins are better. We can retain customers better. So some of our new product launches this year are going to be big milestones as well.
Well, it sounds like the free market is clearly speaking, and this is something that people want. It's a product whose time has come, and I think the timing is great for you to position yourself right now to get into this space. So for people who are interested to learn more about the beverage, maybe they want to purchase the product or even get involved as investors in your company, where should they go to learn more about you guys?
Yeah, go to koiosbeveragecorp.com and go to our investor section. We have a ton of material there, including an investor deck. We have videos posted there. We also have a full team that will speak with you over the phone if you're interested in investing and can walk you through any part of the process. So all that information is at koiosbeveragecorp.com on the investor tab.
Awesome. Well, we will have links in the description below. I strongly encourage people to check it out because, as I said in the beginning of this video, I think it's absolutely imperative that we undo, or push back against this agenda to dumb down society essentially through the chemical bombardment through our food and drink. And one of the ways to do that is to support companies that are actively pushing against this agenda. So once again, Chris Miller, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.